Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News2. I'm Sandra Gomansing. The VI is making national headlines again, this time for controversial comments made by Senator Alicia Hansen last week during a Senate hearing. During testimony on a rape bill that would add protection for spouses, Hansen allegedly told listeners she couldn't understand how sex between spouses can be rape. News2's Erica Parsons has that story.
Senator Alicia Hansen is under fire this week for comments she made during a Senate hearing on a rape bill. Bill 30-60 would amend the VI code to add protections for spouses from actions that could be considered rape in domestic violence situations. It was reported in the media that Senator Hansen said during the hearing that she didn't understand how a wife could be raped by a husband. Reportedly, she then said if it is forcefully against the will of a spouse, then that is a problem. But if a woman says no and he still wants something, I don't know how you can call it rape.
No, it's not about her just saying no. It's about forcing somebody to do something against their will. I know historically, because I've been doing this work for over 30 years, that women are raped in marriages.
The senator's comments sparked outrage on the airwaves and social media, especially when Ebony magazine wrote an article about it, citing statistics and saying that the senator is not alone in her thinking. A petition has even been started on MoveOn.org to raise awareness about the issue and to ask Governor DeYoung to condemn the senator.
Since this case has went viral and everybody is talking about it, we've got numerous women coming in our office talking about their marriages and being raped and being afraid to do anything.
The bill on the table, sponsored by Senator Samuel Sanis, has the domestic violence organization's full support.
We're talking about relationships where one of the parties don't have a choice. This is 2013. The whole issue of treating people like property has to be dead and buried. And I think our community should take a lead on that.
Calls to Senator Hansen's office and staff were not returned by news time. Senator Hansen did tell the Daily News that her comments were clear, but taken out of context. Reporting for News 2, I'm Erica Parsons.
Domestic violence professionals urge people who are in abusive relationships to seek help. Director Lewis says they can be reached at the Women's Coalition night or day at 777-39272. Well, no new details to report on the Saturday night major fire at Gasworks gas station in Bovoni. Fuel tanks in a storage facility exploded about 8:30 p.m. VI Fire Services Assistant Director Darrell George says the investigations continue as the debris cleanup is underway. VI Fire Service firefighters and many other agencies responded to battle the blaze, which formed a plume of fire in the air above Bovoni. Residents of Lower Bovoni were asked to evacuate the area. One injury has been reported. Firefighters contained the blaze just after 11 p.m. and the VI Fire Service issued an all clear at 11:25 p.m., allowing residents of Lower Bovoni to return home. Well, the unexpected fire that occurred last month at the Fritz Loet's housing community on St. Croix, while 6 unattended children were left at home, has been concluded by fire service officials. According to St. Croix Fire Marshal Clifford Joseph, the fire was a result of an unattended cigarette that caught the furniture and as a result spread throughout the apartment. All 6 children suffered from burns or smoke inhalation and were treated at the Wanaflui Hospital. Their parents were not at home at the time of the fire, and police are still investigating the matter. Did you know that shining a laser at an aircraft or its flight path is a felony offense? The Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, in San Juan Field Office and the Federal Aviation Administration are combining efforts with federal and local law enforcement authorities in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands to raise awareness. The FBI conducts criminal investigations. If found guilty, offenders face a fine of up to $250,000 and 5 years imprisonment. Lasers are inexpensive to obtain and their range may extend more than 2 miles. Pilots affected by laser strikes regularly report temporary effects, including after-image, flash blindness, and temporary loss of night vision. Meanwhile, an update on the fatal October 2012 plane crash south of St. Thomas. The NTSB reported that pilot error is the reason for the tragic accident that killed 2 people and leaving 1 missing and presumed dead. The The NTSB says that pilot Kirby Hodge may have tried to descend the plane to avoid lowering clouds and hit the water because of a lack of visual cues. Investigators also say there might have been a lack of pre-flight weather planning on the part of the pilot, and we will have more details on that. Well, robberies seem to be getting bolder, as seen in the Monday robbery at Gold Corner Jewelry Store, the latest of a string of robberies being investigated by the VI Police Department. NEWS2's April Knight has details.
When they opened the store on Monday at 9:45, the owners of Gold Corner, a waterfront jewelry store on St. Thomas, did not expect that their first customers of the day would be four armed gunmen intent on robbing them. It took all of 3 minutes.
Tall guy walked in with a big straw hat, and he put a gun on my husband's head and told him to squat down. 2 others came in and started hammering the showcases and wiping out everything.
3 minutes later, the 4 men got into a dark blue Jeep Wrangler driven by a woman, getting away with about $100,000 worth of gold jewelry. It all happened in broad daylight on a heavy traffic corner, and the 4 men were not wearing masks. Gold Corner owners are disappointed about the time that it took for police to arrive at the scene.
15 minutes to reach, yeah.
And the lack of progress in the case, in spite of plenty of available information, including the getaway car's make, model, color, and license plate number.
Like I said, just living out of fear that it can happen again because they're not being caught.
Gold Corner is only the most recent of a string of robberies that have been plaguing jewelry stores in the territory, and business owners are saying it's all because of cash for gold.
Just last week, Mini World Jewelry Store on St. Croix was robbed in broad daylight. 7 Wonders Jewelry on St. Thomas was robbed several times, the last one in July.
7 Wonders, now it's Gold Corner, then who's next?
Business owners believe that the lack of regulation of cash for gold businesses is spurring the robberies.
Cash for gold, cash for gold. These people are encouraged to rob people, shoot people, kill people.
For now, Gold Corner is not closing down, but if crime continues, they might join the ranks of local businesses forced to close because of crime. April Knight for NEWS2.
And as of news time, Gold Corner owners still have not received updates on the case and are still waiting for information from the police department. Meanwhile, police are investigating a robbery and assault that occurred in Savannah on September 12. At about 9:30 p.m., witnesses told police they saw 3 masked men, each carrying handguns, enter a group of apartments on small strata and searched at least 3 apartments. One victim said the suspects knocked on his door, but he refused to answer. He said the men forced their way into his apartment, threatened him with a gun, and demanded money and gold jewelry. When he told them he did not have any, one suspect hit him in his head with a gun. As the suspects left the area, they fired at least 4 shots into the air. Well, police on St. Thomas arrested 70-year-old Michael Williams and charged him with leaving the scene of an accident and driving under the influence of alcohol on September 15th. Police were dispatched to Brookman Road around 6:45 p.m. to investigate an auto collision that revealed the driver of the vehicle lost control and struck the victim as he was walking and caused him to hit the windshield. Police said Williams then engaged the emergency brakes, left the engine running, and attempted to leave the area. Police administered the field sobriety test and breathalyzer, and the suspect failed both. Williams was placed on a $5,000 bail. The victim was taken to the Schneider Regional Medical Center and treated for a broken elbow. Police are searching for a suspect who removed a 20-inch television from a residence while the tenant was watching it. The first-degree robbery occurred on September 14th at 1:10 a.m. in Liliendahl on St. Thomas. The victim told police that the suspect entered his apartment, put a gun to his head, and said, "I'm going with the TV." The suspect picked up the television and left the apartment. The victim told police the suspect is a person he has seen before, but doesn't know his name or where he lives. This case has been turned over to the Criminal Investigation Bureau detectives for further investigation. Well, in accordance with the provisions of a House proclamation, Governor John P. DeYoung Jr. on Monday directed that the Virgin Islands flag on all public buildings be flown at half-staff until sunset on Friday, September 20th. The White House proclamation was issued as a mark of respect for the victims of Monday's tragedy at the Washington Navy Yard. President Obama ordered that the U.S. flag be flown at half-staff at the White House and upon all public buildings and grounds, at all military posts and naval stations, and on all naval vessels of the federal government in the District of Columbia and throughout the United States and its territories and possessions. Meanwhile, as the nation's capital mourns the victim of Monday's mass shooting at the Washington Navy Yard, investigators are trying to figure out the gunman's motive. Danielle Nottingham reports from the Washington Navy Yard.
Investigators towed away the Toyota Prius Aaron Alexis drove to the Washington Navy Yard. They've received hundreds of tips as they work to piece together how and why the 34-year-old former Navy reservist opened fire Monday morning, killing 12 people.
The motivation, whatever that motivation is currently under investigation.
Investigators do know Alexis was working as a defense contractor at the Navy Yard complex. He arrived in the D.C. area around August 25th and cleared security with his own ID. The Secretary of the Navy has ordered a rapid review of security procedures here and at all other Navy and Marine Corps installations. Police say Alexis used a shotgun he purchased from a Virginia gun shop and handguns he took from his victims. They range in age from 46 to 73 and were all civilian employees and contractors. Richard Ridgel was a former state trooper who worked security at the Navy Yard.
I want him to be known as a dad above a victim of a shooting because he was a great dad.
The Defense Secretary laid a wreath at the Navy Memorial to remember the victims. The Nationals baseball team, whose field is less than a mile from the shooting, wore Navy hats during warm-ups and observed a moment of silence. Danielle Nottingham, News 2.
And keeping our eye on the economy, the Federal Reserve may decide this week if it will cut back its massive economic stimulus program. The Fed is expected to make an announcement tomorrow after a two-day policy meeting. Analysts think the move could come this month since the U.S. economy is recovering. The program kept interest rates low and boosted the markets after the Great Recession. This is the New York Stock Exchange with Scotiabank Stock Market Watch. Everything up. The Dow 34, NASDAQ 27, S&P 7. Coming up on News 2, no physicians at the St. Thomas Vet Center. Delegate Christensen is urging all local private physicians to accept VA fee-basis patients referred to them during this crisis and encourage any local doctor who may be interested to apply. Details on that coming up next. For nearly a month, there has not been a doctor at the Vet Center on St. Thomas. Congresswoman Donna Christensen contacted the VA's Caribbean Health System in San Juan, Puerto Rico, with hopes of rectifying the issue. News 2's Shanika Robinson has more.
Delegate to Congress Donna Christensen learned over the weekend that the St. Thomas Vet Center has been without a doctor for nearly a month.
I found out listening on the radio on Saturday. That was my first indication that there was a problem at the vet center in St. Thomas. And it's interesting because I had been at the Veterans Administration in Puerto Rico the Thursday before. I would have had an opportunity to have brought it to the attention of the medical director and the other officials there at that time.
Congresswoman Christensen contacted the medical director's office at the VA Caribbean Healthcare System in San Juan, Puerto Rico, in hopes of rectifying the situation.
They indicated then that they were in the process of finding doctors from the VA system to come to St. Thomas to fill gap that is being left. Now, they do have coverage for the last week in September and for first couple of weeks in October.
According to Christensen, in the meantime, a nurse practitioner is on duty and is supervised by a VA physician with the authority to make referrals to local physicians or to arrange transfers when necessary.
I did urge doctors here to be willing to accept referrals from the Veterans Administration at this time. We want our veterans to have the same level of care as every other veteran, and they have put their lives on the line for us, and that we owe that to them.
Congresswoman Christensen also mentioned that she will continue to monitor the situation.
I'm working to try to assist the Veterans Administration in locating not only a physician to fill in the vacancy that appears to be developing at the St. Thomas Vet Center, but also to fill a psychiatrist position that they tell me they have had open for quite some time and have not been able to fill.
Shaniqua Robinson, News 2.
Be sure to count on News 2 to keep you updated on this situation. Governor John P. DeYoung Jr. has signed a proclamation designating this month as Labor Awareness Month in the Virgin Islands to recognize the hardworking men and women of the territory. Every year following Labor Day holiday, the Virgin Islands dedicates the entire month of September to express gratitude to Virgin Islands workers, both at home and abroad, for their invaluable contributions to the economic, social, and cultural development of the nation and the territory. Meanwhile, the department will be holding the Motivational Empowerment and Employment Connection Symposium, featuring VI native Devin Robinson, motivational speaker, along with other guest speakers, sharing some knowledge on many different areas such as starting your own business, where the jobs are, and how to prepare for the changing workforce. The conference kicks off on St. Croix on Wednesday, September 18th from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and Thursday, September 19th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, both at the UVI Campus Great Hall on St. Croix, and then on Friday, September 20th from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the UVI Sports and Fitness Center on St. Thomas. Hovenza awarded 18 scholarships to recent high school graduates across the territory. The students were selected based on academic record and financial need. And those students who are entering science and engineering fields were given first preference. The scholarships are good for 4 years as long as the students remain in good academic standing at an accredited U.S. college or university. Hovenza is also continuing scholarships for 32 VI graduates who graduated in previous years. Hovenza officials said the scholarships will continue to be a priority for the company. The Helping Others in a Positive Environment, or HOPE organization, hosted the 2013 Caribbean Wellness Day Walk for Life Health Awareness Fundraiser. Now, the purpose of that Walk for Life fundraiser walkathon is to recognize Caribbean Wellness Day, a day first set aside in Trinidad and Tobago in 2007 to bring awareness and end to non-communicable diseases in the Caribbean. The 5.5-mile walk started at 6:30 a.m. at the Ivana Udokan High School and ended at the Charlotte Amalie High School. 200 walkers successfully completed this walkathon. Congratulations to everyone involved. Be sure to stick around. Your News to AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.